scene. We're here in Bratislava with a man who unbelievable survived a 30 years lasting overkill. Bobby Blitz Elsworth. Bobby, how are you doing?
Still alive and well, and always ready.
That's cool. Bobby, 2010, an amazing year for Overkill. It not only marks the 30 year of the band. When you joined Didi and Rat in 1980, did you ever imagine that 30 years later you have your 16th studio record out, you're traveling all the world, you're playing for people all over the world?
You know, I never was that long-sighted. I was really enjoying the moment back then, and I think it's one of the reasons longevity happens is that if you enjoy the moment, that it accumulates into years, months, years, decades, and I think it's kind of a good principle. So I've always kept it with me. It's more about the moment than it is about looking way into the future.
But when you look back 1980 and you compare it with 2010, you were in the college, I guess, in 1980, and then you started the band. Probably you will tell your father it's because I take it serious, but it was for the girls and the beers.
You know this. I like to say sometimes I had a beer in each hand and a heart on. Now I just have coffee when I walk in. Oh, sometimes a beer. But it's been a long road, but it's it's been a positive road, and I think one of the really cool things about this part of the music industry and metal in general is that the value is, transcended so many different years and bands before us and bands to follow us. So metal has value, thrash has value, and then it shows it that from 1980 to 2010 you can still be viable and still be living in the day.
And funnily enough, the tour is called the 25th anniversary tour because your debut record, Feel the Fire, was released 1985. Is it maybe one of the reasons why you play 4 songs at this tour from your debut record? That it's the most of all records you play in a day.
You've done your homework for this interview. We obviously like to celebrate the beginning, but present it in the modern day. But sure, that has a little bit to do with it. We have a surprise at the end of something that no one would think we would ever play. And I might as well say it, but we're playing Sonic Reducer off of the first record, which is not our song. It was a cover song by a Cleveland punk band called the Dead Boys. And when Overkill had started, we were really the bastard child of 2 genres, I think. And we like to kind of keep that with us, and we really think it gives us kind of an edge. That it's a thrash band, but with punk roots, and to be able to show some of that punk this many years later in a metal presentation is still kind of cool.
I mentioned the 16 studio records. You said 25 years since the debut record. Is there, when you prepare for such a tour like this one, I call it the battle of the set list within the band, or how hard is it for you to put a set list together with, I guess, 150 songs, 200 songs?
Fucking awful. I think obviously you have to do some of the classic numbers that have always gained response. That's why you have credibility within the industry, within the community. And they would be the classic kills, the Hello from the Gutters, Rotten to the Cores, Eliminations, Battle from The Killing Kind. But I think that we have to pepper it with things that keep us interested. So we're throwing in a few obscure tunes from older records, but yet at the same time have to present the new record. Because, the new record, not just from the point of view of promotion, new record is really screaming to be played. I mean, that's one of the great things about Ironbound is that it's really about playing it, and it's got that live feel to it even on the record. So, for us it was really hard to choose the sets.
After having so many record labels in your career, you finally ended up for Ironbound with Nuclear Blast Records.
Yeah.
Maybe nowadays the best home for a thrash metal band, in my opinion, I guess in yours too.
I think so. And you've done your homework, so you've probably heard this answer. But walking into Dunsdorf, where Nuclear Blast is, you see everyone in a metal T-shirt. So you're at home. Oh, I can trust this guy. But it's true though. I mean, I think that when you're doing business with people who understand the music, there's just a better, comfortable feeling all around. I mean, you deal with a guy with a tie who says, "This is a promotion plan," and you say, "Oh man, we're fucked." But you deal with a guy with an Exodus shirt on who's saying this is a promotion plan. You take it a lot more seriously, because I think, we've carved, Overkill's carved a place, Thrash has carved a place, and obviously Nuclear Blast has carved a place for themselves too.
I was really surprised when I first heard Ironbound. For me, the best Overkill record since Horoscope. And what surprised me on the record was that I thought, damn, this guy managed to transfer the spontaneity of their live gigs, because Overkill is an amazing live band, on the record. And this was, my opinion, the records before, you doesn't have this in this way like on Ironbound. Would you agree with that?
I do agree. There, one of the things about making the live happen in the studio is really not thinking about it. As soon as you start thinking about, we have to bring the live into this, you've already taken it out of the equation, because you've overthought it. The reason live has always worked for us is because it's not thinking. It's just doing. So I think that when we recorded this, we were in a position to just do, which gave us a great luxury, because we were getting energy from the tracks immediately while recording it. So this gave us the luxury of time later on to be able to put those songs to the test. Do you speed the song up? Do you slow the song down? Do you add parts? Do you delete parts? So we had the great luxury of time, and also the non-thinking live performance, which translated onto, I guess not tape, but digital information.
I'm old school.
Me too.
If you put Ironbound aside, is there one specific Overkill album where you would say, oh man, that's a bit above all others?
It's hard for me, because there is so many of them, and there really seems to be chapters in Overkill's history. And there's a chapter that contains the first 4 records, and another chapter that contains 6 or 7, and then on into present day. But I'm always a big fan of the Horoscope record, because I think it's a definitive Overkill record with regard to that live energy that we were just talking about. Yet at the same time, non-compromising all the way through it. And I think one of the great things about a band in the thrash scene, or Overkill in the thrash scene, is that we try to think of ourselves in terms of non-compromising. And Horoscope has that quality to it.
It's now the 5th year that you have a very stable lineup since Ron joined the band. Maybe one of the reasons that the community within the band is so strong and so good that Ironbound is such a good record?
Well, that's chemistry. I mean, chemistry builds. And, I think a general misconception about chemistry is that in 2009 is much different than 2010, as will be in 2011. It's how all the individual parts of the machine work together. And in this particular situation for Ironbound, I mean, Ron is, you can't even say he's up to speed. He's beyond. Because you can't saddle a wild horse. It takes away the beauty. The beauty in a wild horse is that it's wild. So I think that there has to be a point of understanding from us. And Ron understands now that he steers the ship. It's not Bobby or Dee Dee who steers the ship. It's Ron. He's the ship captain. And with that understanding comes a real good gelling of the lineup. Because he doesn't follow, he leads. And that's why I think that with us live and with us in the studio, we're getting good results.
Okay, my last question. Today, a lot of people from Austria travel to Bratislava to see your show, because the bookers didn't manage to bring Overkill on this stage from the European tour to Austria. But I heard rumors that maybe in the fall of 2010 there will be another Overkill tour together with Hedon. Is anything you can say about that?
We're checking all the options, but we'll be back in November. Yeah, I mean, it's one way or the other, either as a headline or support for a bigger band. I think the idea is that it's now, and we've always thought in terms of now. I think early 2000s were the decade of the reunion. In Overkill's house, it was always the same business as usual. So I think if you think in terms of now, then it has to be, because Ironbound's got a high level of value. Again, the band likes to tour, so we're already working on a second leg, and of course Austria will be involved.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Have fun on the rest of the dates, and I'm looking forward to the gig
Hey,
today.
my pleasure.
You're welcome.
All right.